This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs.
Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have a prediction tier list for the Digimon BT9 meta for North America. This releases today, and we already have an event this weekend, which I can't wait to see the results, as you guys probably are as well. We do have a couple of key differences from the Japanese meta. Primarily, we do have the Jet Sylphie and the Tommy limited to 1. We also don't know when we're getting the promo security rookies as well, which kind of make or break, I think, in my opinion, a couple archetypes makes it go from playable to maybe competitive. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. If those cards get released sometime in August, which it doesn't look like they are, but we don't know how or when we're getting them, that could make a difference for us. But yeah, we're just going to talk about this. Again, it's going to be a prediction tier list. So we're going to do this. We're going to see a couple weeks of results and then come back and see what the real results kind of show us for here. So we're going to go down the tier list, and these aren't in any particular order. We're going to just put these guys up here to because I don't think anyone's going to argue with these guys out here. But our lines are these two, which are these two best decks in format. We have highly competitive, which I should be topping a good amount, if not all, events in the format based on my opinion. We have the competitive, which should get some tops. We have playable, which you might get a top in the format, and then good luck, just what it kind of sounds like. So I don't like to usually, I really didn't like to make tier lists because I didn't want to dissuade creativity and stuff like this, but I did also want to just give my opinion on what decks I think are kind of good and kind of going from there. So looking at those two, I think a lot of people are saying Grandis and X Antibody are the best decks in the format, and I highly agree. They have a lot of pressure, they have a lot of removal, they can get rid of your security in like 2 attacks, which is very scary. And I think in general, probably X Antibody, if I was to say which one's better, I think X Antibody is just consistently better. I think Grandis is fine too, but I don't know. They're very tricky. I don't know which one I'd say is strictly better. I'm gonna just say it's gonna be X Antibody. We're gonna see if that's wrong. We're right if the two of these, which one of the two. But I don't think anyone's really gonna debate that these are two of the better, if not the best, in the format. They just have so much power, and just warp the format. If you can't go good against this, I think that is something to consider there. So we're just going to go on. I don't think you guys are going to argue those too much. Next up, we do have Commandramon Rush, and I think I'm just going to put this in playable right now, and mostly because we did get some new tools, but one of the new tools is that promo Darugumon that we simply don't get, which is a real shame because it can essentially play a Commandramon off the top of your deck if you're lucky enough, and that's honestly enough to win the game one way or the other, just getting a free rookie off your cards, and especially with all the effects that trigger. So otherwise, I think this could be in competitive or even highly competitive. Without that rookie, I don't think a lot of people are going to be playing this deck. So I don't know. We'll see if that's wrong. I wouldn't be too upset about it, but it is kind of like a rookie rush list, which I don't know if people want to see that or not, but there we go there. Also, this is kind of late into the video to say this, but these obviously aren't all the decks that could appear. And if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments. General, they're playable or lower if I didn't mention them, with some exceptions of me strictly being wrong, which is going to happen. That's the best prediction I have all day for this video. Next up, we do have Red Hybrid, or Ancient Gray OTK, as I like to call it. I think I'm balancing between highly competitive and competitive. I think I'm going to put it in competitive. I think it's fine, and I think that there are pretty much decks that are very similar that do a better job than it. So I'm just going to leave it in competitive, but I don't think it's a bad deck. We've been seeing it do work and get the pretty much an average of 1 top 16 finish in most events in the BT8 EX2 format. So I think people are still going to be playing it. I think if you're not, I think it sometimes can be faster than X Antibody or Grandis. I think most of the time you'd be playing Grandis already, but those could be expensive, or you don't want to go into green, you want to stick to your boy Red, and I think that is fine for it there. So next up, we're going to go into Jesmon, which we haven't seen in a while, and I'm putting it just in the playable tier, strictly because there is the security rookie is a Huckmon, which can make a difference for this list. I think if you get it, and it's actually, you know, I'm going to put in good luck. I don't care. There you go. Boom. I don't know. Jesmon's such a weird deck because it was good for a minute, like literally a minute, and then it wasn't good anymore. And then they still banned Bayo to 1, and they're just like, yeah, you just don't want to play this deck anymore. So here it is, and I think the Huckmon helps it maybe get to playable. I think without it, no one's going to go back to this list, and then it makes sense, especially since it doesn't have like any like direct X antibody support. But it's on this list. Here we go, and I wouldn't be too upset if I got this wrong either. Next up, we have security control, and I think that I would put security control in highly competitive. This could be wrong, and we could be we'll put in competitive. We'll see if I change my mind. I reserve the right to, but I think people are going to be running it, and a lot of these big bad boys, if you get to play the option cards that they're afraid of and you get to do them successfully, they just die, and then you win because they don't win. So it depends on how prevalent these two guys are. If it's just a mix of a lot of decks, and then the people who can afford to and like playing these guys do that, then I think security control can have some pretty good counters for these lists. Otherwise, I think competitive is a good spot for it there. We'll see. I might move it up to highly competitive by the end of this video. Let's see. Next up, we have Beelstar, and I'm going to put Beelstar in highly competitive. I've honestly really enjoyed rediscovering this format, or this archetype in this format. It has like a minimal amount of like generic support for it, just because there's some new 7-cost stuff. And I think going blue with this is a really good play for the deck in general, especially with Kai's Breath being one of the biggest bullies for these two guys and being able to run it because it's also 7-cost. Bouncing back to hand is really good, and I've really been enjoying playing it in this meta. So I think it's just like a better version of security control, like I guess like consistent like yellow security control. And so I think we're going to put that one in highly competitive there. Next up, we do have yellow hybrid, and we do have like, I'm going to scooch this one over. We do have like the Rise Gray version of yellow hybrid, and like yellow tamers, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to put yellow hybrid in playable, and I think I'm going to put like I think I'm just going to put both, honestly. I think they both are very similar. There's ways to differentiate like a yellow-red hybrid and a yellow hybrid. But I think both of them really kind of depended on that Jet Selfie being consistently found in a lot of ways. And without that being the case, and it's not even like the recovery mechanic for it is just fine. It's good, and a lot of people are going to miss that too. But the thing I'm going to miss the most about this is being able to evo to 1 into a level 5 to be able to keep our turn and go into a level 6 afterwards. So without that in the deck as consistently, I think it's not in a good spot for being competitive. I find to be wrong with this one, and we'll have to see what people play and if that makes a difference. But I don't think either. I think both of them have to carry off that Jet Selfie being very good, and without it, it's not in a really good spot. And we're gonna put that Tommy right there too. People are still gonna play blue hybrid. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna see people still try doing it because it's still obnoxious. Tommy was just like the piece on the top of the cake for it. Though if you are able to put X antibody into your deck, then you will never have a Digimon without a source, and that could be kind of disruptive for them. But I think people still play blue hybrid. I don't think people are just going to stop cold turkey still. We're going to see if it gets any top still. Maybe people will be rooting for it. I don't know if that will be the case. That would be really weird, huh? But I think it's playable. I think people can still top with it still. I don't know if anyone's going to try it for a couple weeks, but there we go. Green hybrid, I think I'm going to put up to competitive. I do like the idea of green hybrid still. I think there are some cool things it can do still. I think by and large, Grandis, it just does what it wants to do, but better. But if you like the hybrid version more of it and go for it, I think that is still something to at least investigate in this meta. At least it's better off than yellow or blue hybrid, I think, right now. And I really like this deck. It was still such a surprise to see it start topping, and I really did enjoy it. Next up, we do have the Greymon X Antibody, and I think that's highly competitive for this list. I think it is like the best red aggro list that we have right now, and I think it does some really cool things. And honestly, it does a lot of what the Ancient Greymon wants to do, but sometimes better. and so I think it's kind of worth it. I think Ancient Grey does have some benefits though, especially in something like if something hard counters like Grandis or X antibody. I think Ancient Grey being able to prevent security things from proccing and everything else probably will do better than just the generic Ancient Grey or the generic War Grey X. But I think it's a pretty valid aggro deck that if it goes off, it really goes off, and it's very scary. So I'm gonna put it in highly competitive. We'll see if it stays there. We'll see. I think it's of all the lists, yeah, I think it's the best red aggro list that we have right now, and probably best mono red archetype that we have right now. And we'll have to see if that's correct afterwards. Next up, we do have the Gallant, and I think I really want Gallant to work. I really do like this deck, and I do enjoy playing it. But it's live or die so many times. Sometimes, like every time I win, I feel like I just squeak it out barely because my opponent got a little unlucky. Never do I feel like I'm in command of this game. I know what's going on. I'm going to win this game. It's always like, whoa, like you're like teetering on the edge. Like I should not be getting as far as I am, but here I am somehow. So maybe someone else can crack the code better than I, and they'll get a better list. I think it's fun, and I think people will play it, but I think that for what it does, I think the Greymon build is just strictly better for a red X antibody build, but you guys can decide from there. Next up, we have the Metal Guru X, and I really like this deck. This is super fun, especially since it lets you play the old Metal Gurumon and lets you play cards from underneath it. There's some really cool stuff with it. The big bad boy is obnoxious, especially because even if you just block with it and it lives, then you get to unsuspend and get the effects for it too. It does a lot of nasty things, and it's very fun to pilot correctly for it. So I like the list. It does a lot of cool things again, and it's really like it's a mid-range version of an X antibody build, and I definitely lean more mid-range than aggression most of the time, so I really do enjoy it. Next up, we have the Magna X, and this is kind of like an armor rush, and most builds of these are kind of like armor centric. And as someone who's really enjoyed like having like the DNA armor builds of where it's halfway between like an Imperialdramon and like an armor rush deck that you still do your DNA stuff and get some really cool stacks and stuff, I really enjoy this list. This is super fun. There's like some really creative deck building things you can do, and as well as everything else. So I've really enjoyed playing this guy, and I've had a whole lot of fun with it. So I think it's highly competitive. I think there's some good builds, and I think it's really obnoxious if you play it right. And I've really enjoyed it. I've had a really good time with it. Next up, well, I guess it's still X antibody. Man, Tier Maker is a lot of things, and one thing it isn't is good at getting rid of duplicates of the same thing. So I'm just putting it here. Don't disregard this. It's just an extra. Is there even another archetype? No, I didn't want to make another tier list. So there we go. It's down there. It's the same thing as X antibody. Don't worry about it. We also have the Galmon here. So I'm gonna put this. This is kind of like the red black war gray. I'm kind of just putting it like an umbrella for everything. I'm going to put it in competitive. I think it's fine. I like what this deck does a lot. If you're able to make your big stack, you can get over a lot of things. But in a meta right now where most decks, and by most decks I mean these two, just build their big stack and raising and then just push up and do stuff, this is not great. It doesn't have a lot of interaction for your opponent when you would want to have interaction. And it's really weird to just jump between these formats where we have just these decks that either can push up and then you can interact with them, but it's hard to, or you have no interaction, and once they just push up, they get to do a lot for you. So I think it's fine. I really do like this guy, especially because of all the mechanics and stuff it does with the and buffing like Black War Greymon, because I really did like Black War Greymon. I think people will try it, and I wouldn't be surprised if this guy topped, but I don't think it has a great matchup against X antibody or Grandis, and that's one of the killer parts for it, unfortunately. Next up, Mother. I'm gonna put in good luck. I think for a player on a budget, it's still a good deck. And if you're able to be mean enough with your security stuff, you can get rid of, like, you can make a difference. I think in Grandis or X antibodies sometimes. It still just invalidates some decks because of how it works, which is still really funny. And if you can't get security attack +1, you just simply lose against some decks. Some decks just simply lose, which is funny. But besides that, I don't think a lot of people would be playing it. I think it was overhyped for the EX2 meta as it is. And like some builds were just like the yellow hybrid builds, which also don't exist right now either. So I'm putting it down there, and good luck. If it tops, I'd be very surprised. And we're just done talking about it there. Next up, Leomon. You got like X antibody stuff. I'm gonna just put it in playable. I like this deck, but also like part of the reason this card was playable was because you splashed into blue hybrid. I don't know how many people are using Tommy in the builds for it, so it might not make as big of a difference. It's fun. I like the idea of this deck, and just like the idea about revolving around one Digimon that you want to kind of die to get the effects off and that kind of stuff. He's fine. I think people might try it, and there obviously again is the new X antibody support for it too. I'd say it's probably one of the weaker X antibody supports of the set, but it's something to talk about. Next up, we have the Beelzemon, and you got a new Impmon that's a security Digimon, but you don't get it yet. So here it is. It's in good luck. Good luck playing this deck. And even with Impmon, I'd probably just move it up to playable, but I'll just leave it there. Mastamon, I think we're gonna put in highly competitive. It's good, and it pretty much got like another like archetype on top of it with the I don't even know how to say it correctly. I'm not even gonna let you guys make fun of me for it. The new level 7 yellow purple for it. So here it is. I think people are gonna be playing it. I think it's a straight up boost for the archetype and the deck. So of course people are gonna experiment with it. I think it does some good things, and it's there. There we go. Imperiodramon, I really want to put in highly competitive. I really do. I really do. So do I do it? Do I put in highly competitive? No, I'm gonna put it in competitive, and the reason I'm gonna put it there is because I think for everything that this does, the Magna X antibody is just better. It's just better. It's close. I don't know. Imperiodramon still seems really dirty if you're able to just go off and do what you want to do with it. I might this could be a mistake. I'm just gonna put it in competitive. We'll see. People are definitely gonna play it. People probably are gonna get successful with it. We're gonna see how it is. It was probably the most topping list outside of blue hybrid for the last 2 months, so it's hard to see it not be played and not be successful. Nah, my list. We're playing competitive. You guys can make fun of me. You can tell me I'm wrong. And then lastly, we've got Omni Shout, which got this guy. People were talking about this list. I'm just going to put it in playable. We're going to see if that's wrong. I wanted to put it on the list, so if it does do really well, I can't say I didn't put it on my list, so I couldn't say that I wasn't at least a little insightful for it. But that's where it's going to be. So here's the entire list, and we're just going to do a quick breakdown from here. So in these two, we've got, I think, most people, best deck and format. If you disagree, let me know in comments. There we go. Highly competitive. I think these are kind of like the gatekeepers from here, and so I think Beelstar is fantastic. Both the Garuru and the War Gray versions of X Antibody are great, which is really rare because normally either the Greymon archetype or the Garurumon archetype is good, and rarely do I think both are released at the same time and they're about the same power, so that's kind of neat to see. We also have the Magna, which I think is very good. I've been enjoying playing this deck a lot, as well as Mastamon with the upgrades it did get from this set too. In competitive, we have Imperiodramon, which probably is the next one I'd bump up to highly competitive, but we're going to put it here, see if we're edgy enough. Black War Gray, Galmon, I think if in a different meta, this deck would be super good, but it's in this meta, so it's just not as good as it could be. Security Control, I think can be good, but it's probably, Beelstar is probably just a better security control for what it is right now. Ancient Gray is still Ancient Gray. We have Gallantmon is just a worse version of War Greymon. Green Hybrid might be bounced back to playable, but I'm going to keep my hopes alive. Commandramon is not as good without its the security rookie. These These 3 got nerfed because of the ban list, and I don't think we'll see. I'm okay with being wrong with these 2, but we'll see here. Omni to say that I didn't see it not coming. We'll see if that actually puts any results up. Leomon, because I like Leomon, even though it's probably not super good right now. And then these 3, and then this guy because tier list is dumb, and I accidentally put 2 versions of Alphamon in the tier list, and it won't let me delete the other one. So we got 2 there. So good Alphamon up top, bad Alphamon on bottom. Best and worst deck in format confirmed. So this is my tier list. Obviously, it's going to look like something different from your tier list. Let me know what I got right. Let me know what I got wrong. Let me know what I just missed and should have put on this tier list in the first place. If you have any questions, let me know. Good luck to everyone at playing in the tournaments, not only this weekend, but the next ones from there. I'll see you guys at Gen Con. You can tell me to my face that I'm wrong and my opinions are wrong, and I'll catch you all next time.